Hello everybody, today I'm going to be playing Project Cold War and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about what I find fun about this game and what I find not fun about this game. So in my last video about this game, I gave a brief overview of the game and I tried to basically convince you to play it and give it a chance because I think it's a good game, I really do, and it's very fun. But in this video, I'm going to go the opposite route and I'm not going to say you shouldn't play it because I still find this game incredibly fun, but I'm just going to point out the things about this game which I don't like and which I which I want to see them change or potentially change. Depends on other people's opinions, of course, too, but this is just my experience of the game. Now, before I talk about that, though, I want to point out that this game is an alpha, and if you were wondering, there have already been a lot of problems with this game at being talked about, like, for example, the chopper, how overpowered it is. Where is it? It's like here. It's got super strong armor, and it has this really annoying air support feature. Well, I just wanted to show you that the devs are actually listening in this game, it seems. And they actually removed the chopper's airstrike, or like air support feature, which is basically a minigun and just a regular tank gun on a some kind of airs some kind of air vehicle. So they are actually listening. So a lot of the things that I say in this video might just, be changed by the time that the video even comes out, but we'll see. If any changes do occur, the things I'm talking about in this video, then I'll probably try my best to leave an updated list of the things they've changed in the comment section. But today, I'm gonna play, since the theme of this video is what are the worst aspects of this game, I'm gonna play the worst tank, I think, for this game. And it's not the worst tank as in it's the least fun to play. It's the one that I think is going to contribute the most to people's frustration when playing this game, and that's the Blitz. Now, what is it about this tank that makes it so irritating to play against? Because it is actually fun to play. I actually really like playing this tank. It's the fact that it gets an artillery strike. Or not the artillery strike, the where is it? The TV missile. So in this game there's a bomb game mode, and I think this ability is the most annoying in that game mode, because what this missile does, as I'll show you in the gameplay, is you basically fire it, and it's like a predator drone. If you've ever played Call of Duty, you go into a camera in the sky and you guide the missile and you shoot someone. And the problem is this missile does too much damage and its cooldown is too short. And it might be a problem that this is in the game altogether. And the other problem is in Search and Destroy, it gives out too much information about where the enemies are at the beginning of the game, because you can just see the enemies spawn and where they're headed. So for like competitive tournaments, this would also be a problem. But even for general play, it's just irritating to play against. So that's why I'm choosing to play this tank. Other than that, what is this tank about? It's kind of like a Leopard 1. If you play World of Tanks, it's like a Leopard, except it has low alpha damage. And instead relies more on its abilities. It also has a short range artillery strike, which I think is a little bit annoying as well. I don't mind, for example, like the Titan gets a airstrike, which it has like a rectangular zone it can shoot it in just in front of it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I actually really think it's a good thing, and it's something you have to watch out for when you're playing against a Titan. But it's something you can see coming and avoid. Whereas with this tank, you can avoid the TV missiles, but I can see this especially for newer players just being incredibly irritating, because they're just getting shot and it's doing a ton of damage. Occasionally, if they're playing a tank with low health, they'll even get one shot from it, and they don't even know where from, and it's just the sky. It's just like artillery in World of Tanks, and the reason why it's so unfun is because it basically takes things out of your control. Now I'm going to pause and I'll continue from here. It takes things out of your control is the main problem. So what makes a video game fun? Well, in my opinion, what makes video games fun is primarily that a competitive game like this, even World of Tanks to an extent, I know it's not a competitive game, but basically in World of Tanks, the reason why you're having fun, I think, is because your effort and critical thinking and your skill determines how well you do. So you get rewarded for good decision making and good, you know, good aim, etc. And I think this game has a good balance of both. It has a lot to do with decision making in this game, and there's also a lot to do with, like, you know, aiming, just hitting your shots. So this game definitely checks those boxes. Now, where does this game kind of falter? Well, here's where it falters. It's this missile thing. So I have this bar up here on the left. This bar basically equals 1300 damage. That's for one of my abilities. It gives me faster energy regeneration. And so basically what happened is I just did like 900 damage to that guy. Now I could do up to like 1500 or 2000 damage. And now look at the cooldown. So it's on the bottom. Press 1 when it comes up, and it uses some energy. Let's see, what's a good target? Let's aim at C. So I'm aimed at C. I think there's someone contesting it. And we just ammo wrecked him for I don't know how much damage. We didn't kill him, but we took off a lot of his health. And that's just kind of irritating. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that much damage in the first place, but it's not even just about the fact that it's unbalanced. A tank can be perfectly balanced, but still irritating to play against, and that's something that I think the developers of this game understand. The chopper gunship, which I was talking about earlier, I don't actually think it was that overpowered or anything previously in the previous iteration of this game. But it was, like, extremely annoying, like, really annoying. They would track you in the open, and you basically get fucked, and you would feel like you're being targeted, and you can't, it's out of your control, like, you can't retaliate against it. All you can do is try to take cover, and a lot of the time it's too late to take cover by the time you actually, realize you're being shot. So right there you saw the close range artillery. I don't think this is necessarily bad either, but I think its cooldown is way too short. So I can kind of just spam this guy with artillery. Like, let me just try to kill him with just artillery. So this is costing me energy. So we'll eventually go away, and he doesn't really know what's going on, but it's extremely annoying. So I even got a consumable in the bottom left where I press E, and my energy increases, so now I can use that stuff again. And so basically what this thing turns into is just a spam fest of fucking artillery support, and it's not fun to play against. The short distance artillery, I think, is actually a good thing, and it's skill dependent, and you can watch out for it to an extent, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But the from the skies kind of view artillery is extremely annoying. Let's see if we can get, what should we go for? I think there's people on C. I'm gonna have to whip it for this one. I have to whip it down. Okay, so when you're close range to someone, it's really hard to hit them with that missile, and you really gotta whip it. They don't have a sensitivity option yet for this ability. So it's pretty hard to shoot it, but which is a good thing. I don't think you should be able to, you know, snipe people right behind, or like say there's someone right around this corner. I shouldn't be able to just kill them from the skies, and there's nothing they can do about it. But yeah, this is definitely the most toxic tank in this game because, and by the way, I think this is probably the only tank in this game which has an ability like this. Other tanks might have air support, but they're always close range. You have to be within a certain amount of distance, like this one. You see at the edge of my screen there's red. That's because outside that distance I can't use this ability. But even this is kind of obnoxious, especially just the speed at which you can use it. So that would be my biggest urge for them, is to either remove or not even just balance this ability. Like, they could make the sky attack do like maybe instead of let's say it usually does around, if you crit someone it can do up to 2200, but that's pretty rare. But let's just say I think on average it does around like 1100 damage. They should make it do like 500 damage first of all, but that's not even fixing the issue. The issue is that it's not fun to play against, and so they need to somehow address that. In my opinion, probably the best way to do that is simply to remove it. As fun as it is to, like, you know, bomb people from the skies, but... and it does take a lot of skill to hit your target, it really does, but... That's the biggest problem with this game. So some of the other ways in which you can make a game fun is, yes, I mentioned earlier, the game requires mastery over time, so you learn more over time, and that knowledge leads to better results, and as you notice that will make the game more enjoyable for you, which I think is absolutely true, and it was definitely true for me when I started playing this game. But they need to do so in a way that, yes, you get rewarded for being more knowledgeable and more experienced, but they need to make it so that new players are not getting absolutely shit on. And I think they actually do have an okay balance with that right now. I think the main problem is not actually with the game. I think the main problem is with the players, actually, because a lot of the people who are playing this game are coming over from World of Tanks, and so they have certain expectations about the game, like the time to kill. They expect to be able to just sit in front of people for, you know, 45 seconds before they die, and that's just not how this game really works. I think, but I do think that they could make it a little bit easier for, you know, World of Tanks players to get involved, simply by just increasing the health points of all the tanks by, let's say, like 20%, because it's pretty rare in this game to get one shot, but it is very common for you to almost get one shot. So you can lose 3/4 or 2/3 of your health in one shot very easily, and it is possible sometimes to get one shot depending on what is shooting you. So let's use our annoying air ability again. Where should we use it? Let's try it on. Yeah, I see a tank there, right in front of us. You can see tanks on the minimap in this game. We just nailed that guy. Looks like it did about 900 damage, judging on the bar on our left. How did that bounce? I shouldn't have used my repair kit there. So the repair kit in this game heals health, by the way. So if you do get hit by the TV missile, which I showed you at the start of this game, it isn't like it's the end of the world. Like, you can still heal that off before you get to the fight. And so I don't think it's necessarily that broken. Although, it is broken. Like, it's too powerful in its current state. But it's not like... It's not like you couldn't put this into the game. They could. It's just... I think it's better for the player experience if they removed it. Even if it is underpowered, it will still always just be kind of annoying. As fun as it is to use, it'll turn a lot of people off from this game. So, some other things about what makes a game fun. What are some of the things that cause you to be frustrated when you're playing a game? So, one of those things is just the balance of the game, the broad overview, like, balance of the game. And I think ProjectCW is doing a very good job with that, actually. So initially it was clear some tanks are just too strong, and I think this one is one of them currently. But before, people were complaining about the Phantom and the Chopper, and guess what happened to both of these tanks? I think both of them were nerfed twice, and I have a level 10 Phantom, and it's not nearly as broken as it used to be. And I actually think it's balanced. Probably. I haven't played the Chopper, but like I said, it got its air support removed. But I didn't really ever find the Chopper to be that overpowered in the first place. I just think... I know it's been nerfed, and I think I was playing after it got nerfed, and so maybe that's why. It is hard to pen, I will give you that. But I think that's kind of the point of the tank, is it's hard to pen and it's fast. But its gun looks... I watched some gameplay of this tank, and his gun looks pretty fucking shit, actually. But the problem is not always, the balancing of the game. The problem is, the fact that, in spite of the fact that something is balanced, it's still just annoying to play against, or annoying to play. Now, if it's annoying to play, I think this game has got that completely covered. Every single tank I've played has been fun, and has had a unique role, and has unique abilities which make it enjoyable. But when it comes to facing things, there are a couple things still that remain which are annoying, and especially this vehicle is just irritating to play against. Now let me play a different tank. show you another irritating tank. So, to be honest, I wouldn't really say... Okay, this thing might be irritating, but it has very good armor, but it has no abilities at all. It's very balanced, and I think once people learn how to actually aim, it won't be as annoying. I haven't actually played it. Maybe we can just try it out, see if it's stupid and busted. But yeah, as I was saying, something is not irritating or frustrating simply because it's overpowered all the time. Sometimes it's just a fact that it's taking something out of your control, and you like getting shot by artillery in World of Tanks, for example. You can kind of predict whether you're going to be shot by artillery, but the fact is, if someone is spotted from your team on the other side of the map and you're spotted on your side of the map, and you're both equally open to artillery, who knows which person the arty's going to shoot? There isn't really any indication, and World of Tanks has kind of tried to address that with like the commander indicator perk, which shows you when an arty's going to shoot you. Sound detection, I think it's called. But it doesn't really remove the problem at all. And in World of Tanks, you have things like, you know, camping ship barns. There might just be a ship barn on an angle that you didn't expect, and boom, your game is over. Like, and it doesn't promote, I guess, active gameplay or actually participating in the battle. It very much promotes camping, and this game doesn't have that problem at all. Although it does have, in my opinion, a slight time to kill problem. I think the time to kill is slightly too high. And now, why is that a problem? I think the main problem isn't necessarily just that tanks don't have enough health. I think the bigger problem is that critical hits deal too much damage. So when you shoot someone in this game, it doesn't actually do that much damage. Like, this tank, it might do 750 or 650, and that's on the high end. Most tanks do more like 400 damage if they just get a penetrating shot that doesn't hit a module. But a lot of tanks, like the Jaeger, which is kind of like the Leopard 1, get these upgrades which increase the amount of damage they deal when they get a critical hit. So for example, its base damage is 450. When you get a critical hit like I did just there, you know, it like doubles it or triples it, and I think that's just a little bit too extreme. I think they need to take those tanks which have those upgrades which cause huge amounts of damage, like 2/3 of your health, 3/4 of your health, and potentially even a one-shot, and they need to just tone it down a bit because it's just a little bit too much. And I don't have a problem necessarily with the fact that the time to kill is faster than in World of Tanks. In fact, I like that fact about this game. It just feels sometimes like you get caught off guard, someone flanks you, and instead of being rewarded with, you know, a good chunk of health off of you, they just like completely obliterate your tank. Like that right there. So that was a Ray. That's the tank which deals the highest damage in the game. And if you've seen gameplay from my last video of the Ray, it is very much negatively compensated for the fact that it can do the highest damage in the game. It has like a very long reload, and it's a very hard mechanic to master. It has like a laser gun which builds up energy over time, and there's no way to stop your laser building up energy. So if you don't shoot somebody and your laser becomes maximum charged, then you start to take HP, like health points start to be removed from your tank 100 at a time, just like 100 per second or something. So you have to bust your nut, or else you'll die. And I think that's a really cool mechanic. It's just, if they increase the health of all tanks by 20%, then he would still be getting rewarded with a huge juicy shot, but it wouldn't just completely kill me in one shot. Like, this is a defender. This is a defender class vehicle I'm in. I shouldn't be getting one shot by any tank in the game, really. And I think that's just a small adjustment that needs to be made. But yeah, a lot of the time the fights, so I just did like 1,000 damage to that Raketa. This thing does not have a crit multiplier, and so I think its critical hit to base damage ratio, critical hit damage to base damage ratio is pretty good. But on tanks that are able to augment their damage that they do with critical hits, it feels like it's too much. And it's basically like, if I don't hit a critical hit, I'm doing like nothing, and if I do hit a critical hit, I'm completely destroying their tank, and I think there needs to be a better balance to that. And, oh my god, I'm lagging. So there are like some FPS issues in this game still, but I mean, that's to be expected. It isn't alpha, as I said. See if I can ammo rack this guy. Hit his engine. I'm just getting perma-tracked. Okay, I definitely overextended there. I'm like in their base. That was kind of my own fault. And so just in general, I think they could reduce the crit multiplier for those tanks. And if those tanks suddenly become underpowered because their crit multipliers were reduced, so I'm talking specifically about like the Jaeger and the Ray and the Blitz. Those are 3 like medium tanks which have good guns, which have very high crit multipliers. If they should still maybe have some advantage in terms of getting bigger critical hits than other tanks and be rewarded for good aim. But I think there's a better balance that could be reached, and they should be reduced, and in compensation for that, other aspects of their vehicle should be improved. So for example, you could reduce their reload time, or I don't know, make their ability better somehow. And I think that would mostly fix the problems that we're seeing with just taking way too big of hits just because you slightly expose your engine or you didn't realize that an enemy was behind you. Feels way too much all for nothing, or all or nothing, I guess I should say. You either get hit for a ton or you get hit for like a meaningless amount of damage. This guy here, I shot him in the back of the turret. I could have ammo racked him, but it looks like I missed it. Let's see if we hit it this time. There we go, we did. And it did more damage this time because I ammo racked him, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's actually, I really like the system they have right now. It's just too big of a disparity. I think that's pretty much all I had to say for this video, really, about how to make this game more enjoyable. So in summary, they need to remove or severely change how the air support works, especially on the Blitz, so that it doesn't feel out of control whether you get shot by it. So maybe they could do that by there being a indication on the screen that you're being targeted by this missile, or you're within the field of view of this missile. Or just removing it altogether, which honestly I would not be upset if they did that because it's very annoying. And secondly, they need to increase the time to kill slightly, and that's just my opinion. I don't actually think it's that bad right now, especially if you come from a different game, but for World of Tanks players, I can see that being a big issue. By the way, these guys just can't fucking pen me. When I play against an Atom, I genuinely don't really mind it that much. Holy shit, that was sick. That was fucking awesome. Because I know how to, I come from World of Tanks and I kind of know how to aim. But it looks like this thing does possibly need some tweaking a little bit more still. Its reload, I think, is a little bit too good. I think they could reduce it by 20% and then this would be fine. Because I do actually like the fact that there are some vehicles in this game which have armor. Because when you're in a high pen tank like the Jaeger, it does feel like a lot of the tanks just don't have any armor, and all it's about is aiming at the right spots so that you get a critical hit. And it's not actually about aiming for weak spots, where like if you miss the weak spot, you're gonna get no damage. But that's kind of a problem that's unique to the Jaeger. Other tanks, which have lower penetration values, it feels mostly fine. Like there is a challenge to pen them, you have to aim well. But I think maybe armor could be increased slightly as well, just as a general trend, but only slightly because I kind of am happy with where it is now. But like I said, the dev team is very responsive, and I expect a lot of those changes to kind of occur before this game is released anyways, because I've been playing the alpha for, I don't know, probably a week so far, and it seemed like one day I would play a day, I'd be like, wow, these 3 things should really be adjusted. They're kind of annoying and irritating. And then I would log on the next day, boom, the patch notes would be in the garage, and it would say, oh, look, those 3 things you mentioned, they all got changed. Look at that. And it was really, really refreshing to have that, because in World of Tanks, when there's like a problem in the game, either balancing wise or bug wise, etc., feels like it just lingers for like months, if not years. Like there's still problems in World of Tanks, bugs that just have not gone, even though it's been years. Like for example, in World of Tanks, the camo directive is bugged on some tanks, and they haven't fixed that yet, and it's been like that for at least like 6 months, and it's kind of a big deal for me. It's really irritated me when I discovered that problems with that are still occurring, and it hasn't been addressed yet. Whereas with this game, it's pretty instantaneous that they'll just fix something if a lot of people are complaining about it, which I think is great. Okay, these guys are really struggling to pen me. Guys, I promise it is not that hard to pen this tank. At least as hard as these people are making it seem. So you see this blue and red, right? I just aim for the blue and that's where I pen it. I wish I could just fight against a team of 10 enemy atoms and then I could show you that it is very hard to pen. It's the hardest tank to pen in the game, but it's not like impossible, especially if you use your brain and do some flanking or something. Well, you can pen it frontally in most tanks as well. But since this is like a new game and people don't really know what they're doing, it seems like I can just drive at them, and most of the time they have no clue where to shoot me. Or are having trouble doing so even if they do know where. This guy might kill me. Okay. Well, this thing I do think needs a nerf though. Especially a reload nerf. That's 25k damage. I wasn't even thinking. I would say my average damage in this game so far is around 20k. And doing that without really thinking about what I'm doing, this thing definitely needs a little nerf. But not to its armor. Its armor, I think, is good. I think that's what makes this vehicle unique and what makes it interesting to play. Its gun just needs to be nerfed. So yeah, that's all I've got to say regarding this. I'll definitely probably make a couple more videos about this game, and I'll probably, instead of talking about how I feel about this game, instead I'll just play a couple of the different agents and show them off, their abilities, what they're good at, what they're bad at. And I'll just sprinkle in a little bit of thoughts about the game in general in those videos as well. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.